Hi, welcome to another video here by the Tokyo Real Estate Man, and today's video is a really interesting one because he's being shot from my wife's hometown of Tokamachi, which is in the heart of the Niigata Mountains, and this is just a little impressions video on what it would be like to live in a small Japanese town. Now, I think actually I was just here in this store. It's called Sanki, and the prices in the store is unbelievable. So if you were to buy I was talking to my father-in-law yesterday, and he figures his house, if they wanted to sell it, which no one wants to sell their house because you might as well just live in it. He figured that if they sold their house, they could get $30,000 for it. It's a full house. So they're in this little town, this one little town, like this is the one little town that I'm thinking about buying in because it's actually the one little town that I know. So I just like to buy in places that I know, and this is right here in the mountains, so the winter can be very, very harsh, but $30,000, you can't even buy a car nowadays. So so this is a place that I might buy a house in because I just like to buy in a place I know. There's lots of stores in. I think the economy has probably been like in the depression for over 20 years, but yeah, it's still, everything's all here though. Like you see here, this is the grocery store here in the mountains of Niigata, and you see it's full of just a very good store. It's called Harushin, and it's full of very professionally run. And you see there to the right side is like, here's the fruits and stuff like that. Okay, we'll go through the store and we'll just keep talking about things, and we'll might peer off to the side to look at things while we're here. It's a great place to live. If first limitation is you have to have like really stellar Japanese to live here. I think, like, if not, you're gonna feel really, really isolated. So that's my impression. Like, I live in central Tokyo, but I could live here. My Japanese is good enough that I could live here in the mountains of Niigata and feel very comfortable. Even right now, just filming this video, I know it's probably a little weird for the people around, but I feel very comfortable doing it because I could jump over the Japanese in just a second. Here, look here, the beautiful Maguro. So you see that they have everything here. But yeah, the limitations, there are only limitations to buying real estate here in a town like Tokamachi. And like I suggest, if you have a Japanese family or someone you know, why not just, and if it's cheap, buy in the place that you know. Why deal with the mystery? Look, this is a really good deal compared to, these are steaks. You couldn't buy these steaks like in Canada for $8, but you can get them here in Japan. So things, so if you're a person that can work remote, you can live here in the mountains of Japan. That's the other thing that is a limiting factor. What are you going to do for your income? If you're like a person like me who's got like companies that produce income for me, I can easily live here. Or you're a person who's got a lot of savings and decent at investing, then you can live here. Here we look at the milk price. Okay, power price. This is power price. 168 yen, 168. So yeah, the language, there's the milk there for, this is the no taste milk, the skim milk, 98 yen. And other options, if you're a vegan person, there's like soy milk and coconut milk there. That's oat milk. That's oat milk they have there. They have it here, oat milk. And the cheese and dairy section here in this store is all full. And you can buy a car, a used K truck in Japan for like $2,000, a house for $40,000, a really nice house if you had $100,000. Like, to me, $100,000 isn't much money. You could usually, like, that's not much at all. But maybe you are a person where $100,000 is a lot of money, but you can buy a really nice house here in Tokamachi for $100,000, and then have your little remote job somewhere around the world, and You could live here. Can you get over the border though with your visa? This is not a video about visas. I'm not the guy to talk to you about visas. I'm the guy to talk to you about how you can put a life together and what it costs and the money that you need to do it. So yeah, if you have $100,000, you can basically be all set up. And then what are you going to do for your income? Well, that's up to you. You got to figure that out, whether that's dividend stocks or you have a company that produces, or you have a remote job, or your Japanese is good enough that you can work in you can work a job. I was in the store the other day and I was really surprised because I was talking to this one lady and she started speaking Japanese to me, but she's not a native speaker, I could tell, and she was from China. So there's a lady that's got a little life. She's from China and she's settled here in the mountains of Niigata. So, and she's figured it out, and she's working at a grocery store. You can work at a grocery store. I can work at a grocery store. Like, you might as well work every day. What's the use of taking every day off? That's stupid. If you're productive, you're going to feel better. So yeah, I have no idea about the job market, but I could easily come up here and live here. So yeah, the limiting factors, I would say, look at this, full of beautiful wines. And like, maybe there's going to be some more inflation in the Japanese economy because the level of the yen has gone down to 140 to the US dollar, right? So, but I mean, you don't need wine. Wine's not the thing you need. And I mean, if you want some wine, it's there. But here's domestic wines. These are domestic wines, right? So they're not going to be, maybe the inputs into the wines will be bought, like some of the fertilizers might be bought abroad, but there's a bottle of wine here for 1,100 yen, right? So you know that the domestic wines are still going to, if you like wine, there's going to be a domestic source for it. Like, so even if the yen were to get weaker, like, the Japanese economy will adjust to it very quick. The product quality in terms of the Japanese economy is unbelievable. For the money that you pay for goods, it's really off the hook. And like, that's the one thing. Like, I'm moving to Canada with my wife and my kids for a few years because I want them to go to school there. But and that's the one thing that I worry about the most. I'm going to just separate myself from the Japanese economy and the product quality that you can get so cheap in relation to Western economies. Anyhow, I know I'm blabbering here a little bit and going several kind of directions with what we're talking about. But yeah, if you have $60,000, you can buy a house you can get a house for free. I was talking to my father-in-law. If you want, there's houses for free, but you do get what you pay for. The house that's for free is going to be basically what would be considered by Western standards a teardown. But certainly the house that we're staying in here, which is my wife's grandma's house, is over 100 years old. And for me to fix it up, I figure I could fix that house up. And granted, I've been in the building industry for the last 20 years of my life. I could fix it for $3,000 to $5,000. Have a look here. You can get toilet paper for $2.58, 12 rolls. You can't get that in Canada. And the double ply, you're gonna be able to wipe your bum really good for $2.58 in the mountains of Japan. Like I said, there might be some more inflation coming, but this is what you're looking at. And $1,000 a month income, you could make it. You could make it in Japan. That's pretty tight. $2,000 and you're living good. You got a car, a house paid for. If your house is paid for, what are your bills? Your bills are nothing here. So you can live here and live a good life here in the mountains of Niigata, Japan. Two limiting factors: income and the language barrier. But there's a cultural barrier as well, and that's tied in with the language barrier. But I mean, I've spent 30 years of my life in Japan, so that barrier to me is nothing, you know. But depending on your life stage or what you want, maybe you don't mind the barrier. Maybe you're a person who likes just to, like, I'm a very social person, so I've been able to break that barrier down over time. But maybe you're like more of a less social person, so you don't actually mind that isolation. This could be the great place for you. Here to have a 100 yen store here called Seria, which is basically the dollar store. There it is right there, fully stocked in the mountains of Japan. Fully stocked in the mountains of Japan. I think it's a pretty good video today by the Tokyo Real Estate Man, talking about many things. I hope they've been useful for you. Bye bye.